and I'll figure it out. If you could
Just do it.
whatever. Okay.
That's right. We don't want to keep the YouTube kids waiting
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
We love our YouTube chat kids.
Exactly.
There it is. It's the music that tells you the Tara Show is starting. Dublin and Devlin, twice a week, delivering the dynamite. That's what we do. Hey, everybody, it's the Tara Show. I make up the words as we go. Yeah. All right. That's a lot of energy for a Thursday, but I'm bringing it because it's Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth to anyone in the chat who might be celebrating Juneteenth. And this does not include Republicans tweeting about Juneteenth because they know nothing. They know nothing. And if you're a Republican tweeting about Juneteenth, I have to say this to you, because you're fine with the Confederate flags being flown.
I know. Don't get me
and you're fine with Trump threatening to restore the names of our forts to the Confederate generals they were named for.
The traitors.
Yeah, no, if you think the American flag should look like the Confederate flag, you can take a seat at the back of the bus. Thank you so much. So do not co-opt Juneteenth for yourself. What you're supposed to do is just honor the day. It's a federal holiday, which means no mail.
I'm surprised that he didn't undo it.
It's a day that Congress doesn't have to show up to work.
Yeah.
We'll give him time.
That's true. I was surprised that I heard it. But I just want to make a point about the Confederate renaming, because this is how disgusting they are. They're very crafty and underhanded, of course. And disgusting, but because this was a bipartisan effort that took years, and in fact, in the first maladministration, he vetoed this bill, which was overwhelmingly bipartisan, and it was conducted by members of the military, historians who had served, and they went through it all, and they thoughtfully talked about, and promoted this in the ranks. So for Hegseth and the others to say that this is something by a man and woman that's opposed by the military, and he's a filthy fascist liar, but in the way that they wrote the bill, they can't just reverse the names. Okay, they can't just go back to saying this is Fort Lee, named after General Lee. They have to find another person named Lee. So, or another person named Pickett, or another person named Bragg. So they're very
I bet
cute.
Nobody in MAGA knows that.
But they all know. But, because yesterday, when he was being questioned, he let the cat out of the bag. He said, because he admitted they're renaming it for Confederate generals. But, wait. Somebody stopped him. What are you talking about? I thought you were renaming it for another person, just happens to be named Pickett or happens to be named Bragg. This is how disgusting they are, and how much energy they're putting into this to name it, and the fact that they're taking the names of actual heroes off of these bases now under such stupid pretext. It's really
anything to distract.
Disgusting,
right? Anything to distract. Before we go any further, I just want to thank Dave in the chat, who bought not one but 2 copies of The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story, available now at TaraDublinRocks.com. Thank you, Dave. It means so much to me every time I sell a copy of my book, because I am a self-published author. The struggle is real. And since nobody's buying Jake Tapper's lying crap book about Joe Biden, I think everybody should buy my book, The Sound of Settling, at TaraDublinRocks.com. Thank you again, Dave. I appreciate you with all of my heart. And if you send me a DM on Blue Sky with your address, I will send you a signed book plate, because I'm so grateful. Okay, moving on. You brought up Pete Hegseth, punch-drunk Pete Hegseth, the thrice-married, alcoholic, makeup-loving, Christian nationalist tattooed Trump traitor, who got his own ass handed to him repeatedly yesterday in the Senate by Democratic women who are basically like, you are worthless and useless, and you need to resign.
Beautiful.
And they were like, wipe that smirk off your face. Nothing about this is funny. You are the worst person to have ever been given this job. You are all of it. And he's sitting there like, and he's sitting there like, he has that face
that smug,
when you tell that smug, he's furious because he knows what they're saying is true, and that's what he hates about himself face. And that's how we get these MAGA Republican men.
Yep.
Mostly, and their mediocrity is built in. But when it's highlighted by women, particularly like a woman of color, they get so mad.
Yes.
They get, because they know that what the woman is saying is true, and they never want to have to admit it, which is why I have a MAGA block collection longer than my entire body, because you can't ever tell them the truth, get them to admit the truth, and if they're questioned and they don't want to answer, they turn it around and attack the questioner, like Donald Trump repeatedly.
Always.
He did it yesterday again on the press line. There was a reporter from CNN was asking questions, and he was like, "Who do you work for?"
Oh,
and she says CNN. He's like, "Does anybody even watch CNN anymore?"
You little bitch. Oh, I hate
It's
him.
all the fake news this and the fake news that, and all he wanted was for people to look at his great big flagpoles.
Oh,
which were 80 for,
and they're 88 feet high. Did you know that? And you know what that is?
No.
Yeah, of course you know. It's a shout out, a subtle wink and a nod, not too subtle for those who know, I suppose, for white supremacy. Why not 90 feet? Why not 85 feet? Why not 80 feet? Why not 100 feet?
Why not 94, which would be twice 47?
Yeah, something. I mean, 88. There is
47-foot
doubt.
I don't know.
Yeah, that is deliberate. And it says Stephen Miller. It's that. I don't know if even Traitor Trump is that aware, because he's a baboon, but that he that this is the case. This is where we live.
Oh, man.
It is filthy, disgusting, and it's shameful. Shameful.
They're going to round up the Jews next.
Yeah, it's all about division. Exactly. It's all about dividing the country. Naming them after the traitors again, the 88, going after trans people. Now in Tennessee, they've decided that no one can get gender-affirming care. Right? It's children first, right? It's the they pretend.
The pro-life party.
Yes. They pretend.
And the VA can now refuse to treat Democrats.
That's right. That's political. Yeah, if you have a different political affiliation they don't like, it's such. Or this time.
And did I read it correctly? Is it they could also refuse to treat women who are divorced?
Yes.
The fuck is that?
But this is. I mean, you have to have a sincerely held, I guess, something bullshit belief with these fucking snowflakes.
They also just said that nobody can get the COVID booster unless they're over 65.
Nobody.
Or
except, I guess you will have to pay for it.
Condition.
Yeah, it won't be covered, or these people want us dead, okay? They want civil war.
How much more proof, right?
They hate this country.
The question is why?
Because
we know they hate this country.
I know this is why. Because they hate democracy. I know that I don't want to be... it's like, oh, you're just like them throwing out pejoratives. I'm not. Prove me wrong here.
Right.
Everything about this country, exactly. Everything about this country, they despise. Everything that actually makes the country great. The nation of immigrants, the no person above the law, the Constitution, equal protection under the law. How about freedom? The freedom to live your authentic life. Without these freaks, without a filthy fascist Republican in your doctor's office, in your family's discussion about what are you going to do about your child that needs gender-affirming care. And these people, they know that, they're such ignoramuses, and we all know there are no, it's not, because they have to boil it down to the hierarchy. If there's more than two genders, because gender's a construct, just like race, then we are, then their whole ideology will crumble, because they need white men straight acting white men at the top, and everybody else falls in line underneath. But if gender's a construct, you can just change your gender. Like, I mean, how baboonish is it your gender ideology is in your brain, not in your pee-pee,
Right.
you children,
Right.
you filthy fascist, incapable of functioning in a free democratic society children. That's what they are.
Correct.
And
They are.
I'm
And
sick of it.
who's going to inspect the genitals
Exactly.
of the children?
Exactly.
Nancy Mace apparently wants that job, or maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene, so they get their grooming.
Yeah, they want
on,
it. Oh yeah, they're very
That's
interested
so
in looking at the
gross.
peepees. They want it's the
it's
pee-pee
just-
police. But
it's just so
out of control.
gross.
It's disgusting. They're
And-
gross. Yep.
And the fact that we even have to be talking about the smallest segment of the population as a perceived
Under
threat
assault.
to democracy.
Under attack
No,
again. Always.
Nobody's no. And in fact, one of the things that happened in the Senate, the Pete Hegseth hearing, was they were highlighting the fact that he is getting rid of transgender service people, and they highlighted the example of 3 soldiers who served valiantly in their roles, and he said, I thank them for their service, and he was told all 3 of them were transgender, and he's like,
Oh,
it's beautiful.
Well, what?
It's beautiful because he doesn't know when he
No.
is next to a transgender person, and
Exactly.
most people don't.
Yes.
Most people have used a public bathroom with a transgender person in there and you didn't know it, or you walked past them at the mall, or you have just existed in society with people who are different from you. Oh my God. And you still woke the next day with the earth turning and the sun shining. So again, it is our responsibility as human beings to be allies to the communities we weren't born into. And what better day to highlight this than Juneteenth, when we are at a moment in our American history where those who refuse to learn from it are dooming us to repeat it. And I'm not okay with it. We don't need to go back to when slavery was a thing, especially on the day that it ended. This is the anniversary of the end of slavery, and that should be celebrated. This country was built on the backs of black men and women, particularly black women.
Yep. That's
Black
right.
history is American history,
That
and
is so
everything
true.
that you love about America is thanks to black people. Your
That's right.
food, your clothing, your music, the way you all of your culture has been somehow appropriated and whitewashed to make it palatable for white Americans.
That's
Same thing with
right.
Chinese food and Mexican food and any ethnic food that has taken hold in this country. It has been Americanized to make it more palatable for the white people, because we have no culture of our own. White people have no culture of their own. There's not a unless it's white bread with mayonnaise. There you go. But to not be able to recognize that our culture has deep roots in black history, that's your issue. No one taught you correctly about the country that you live in, and it is up to us to make sure that the people who are trying to whitewash this history don't get away with it.
Yes. And then what always strikes me is that when you see black people trying to make this country live up to its founding promises and move us forward, you don't see zip ties. They don't show up. They show up at the voting booth. They line
right.
up to go speak to their local assemblies. They're not,
Right.
they'll peacefully protest, like in the Black
As we
Lives
did.
Matter movement. They're not out there. You don't see zip ties. You don't see bear spray. They don't show up. They don't storm the Capitol. They don't
have a kill list.
That's right. They're trying to make America exactly what our founders entrusted to us, to
That's
bring
right.
to fruition. And I want to mention one other thing about trans people in the military, of course, because there is and I'm sure Pete Hegseth knows nothing about this too. There is a service. No, well, he was a general of the American Revolution, General Kazimierz Pulaski, a Polish nobleman who recent DNA forensic research, whatever, they have his bones, or her, or their bones, and revealed that that Pulaski was what is that called? Intersex. And
Okay.
yes, lived his entire life as a man, but had no children, lived alone, not married. I mean, you have to wonder about their private life. They were clearly afraid to be themselves, to be, to be
Absolutely.
revealed.
Back then, for sure.
Exactly.
At an interesting time when men were wearing powdered wigs and makeup and, and that's just an interesting, and probably it would maybe even have been easier to pass back then because there was a specific way of dressing
probably.
back then.
Yeah,
and all of that. And I'm sure that back then there were plenty of women who made themselves pass as men so they could fight.
Yes, he is
or just basically survive,
Exactly.
And so
but there's
setting that up as an example,
exactly.
Of
but
people serving their country regardless of what's in their pants.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Important thing, right?
Exactly. But he is the father. He's known today as the father of the cavalry, of the American cavalry. So I guess if Hegseth found that out, he would probably remove his name or places of honor. And he's also credited with saving George Washington's life. So we might not even have won the revolution without this person at the Battle of Brandywine.
Never tell Pete.
Exactly. It's just so... I hate these people. And, trans people have served with honor and distinction. And the other thing I want to just make a point of is that they have more courage in everyday life than Pete Hegseth could ever muster in 1,000 lifetimes with all of his, 47 push-ups. I'm doing 47 push-ups for my dear leader. I mean, he is everything that is wrong with this country.
Oh my
And I wrote an article about it, and put him in every time. He is the Jim Crow poll watcher. He's the slave catcher. He's the one, chasing Harriet Tubman, and he's he's Dan White. Yep.
He wears more makeup than your average trans woman. So, it's so irritating to watch all of this mediocrity being celebrated, and but at the same time we are witnessing a MAGA implosion because we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday in that MAGA's not happy about the Iran-Israel thing. And thankfully, Donald Trump has announced that he's going to tell us within 2 weeks if America is going to get involved in the Israeli-Iran conflict. So in 2 weeks, mark your calendars, kids, because in 2 weeks, we're finally going to get his concept of a plan to replace Obamacare, I'm sure. And then in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, we'll also get concepts of a plan to replace Joe Biden's incredibly successful Build Back Better infrastructure bill. And then he'll let us know.
Yeah, you want to see? Let's see.
And 2 weeks is Donald Trump's favorite increment of time. And let's find out why.
Coming out of the White House? Just give it 2 weeks to get something mythical about wiretaps
to the forefront over the next 2 weeks.
Is that too low?
A decision on the Paris Climate Accords
over the next 2 weeks.
A plan for cutting taxes.
2 or 3 weeks that will be phenomenal.
Except it ended up being 11 weeks before a one-page outline of a tax plan came out. It was Bloomberg News that first noticed the president parroting 2 weeks.
Sometime over the next 2 weeks as to NAFTA.
Want to know how well the U.S. is doing against ISIS?
We're going to be having a news conference in about 2 weeks.
3 weeks later, still no ISIS press conference.
Incredible.
So what did the president do? He said it again.
We're going to be having a news conference in 2 weeks on that.
What a waste of life
and
this
you'll see
person
numbers
is.
that you
Oh
will
my
not have
God!
believed.
And that the media just lets him get away with it
weeks.
over and over.
Donald Trump once made a cameo in a movie called 2 Weeks Notice, in which Hugh Grant wore a tie so long he looked like a Trump caricature.
I hear Kelson finally dumped you.
Not exactly, no.
The president may have trouble sticking to a calendar, but that doesn't prevent his face from being plastered on a
Ew.
From the out-of-office
nightmare.
calendar
Well,
showing
that
how
one,
long
sure.
the Trump administration
I don't want his
has
fucking
to
face
go,
on my wall, though.
to Donald Trump's greatest quotes calendar.
His greatest quotes. What?
Grab him by the pussy. There we go. There's his
Part of
greatest
the
quote.
beauty of me is that I'm very rich.
Ew.
Isn't he disgusting?
Ew.
Oh, I
Make it
can't.
stop.
Right.
Like,
Jesus,
seriously,
take the
I meant
wheel or
make it
something.
stop.
Really, make it stop.
For
make
real.
It. Right.
Oh my
I will
God.
make it stop.
It's just, thank you. I appreciate you.
It is. Don't we deserve better than this? This is what I always say when I see things like this or think. I think I hate everybody who voted for them. Shame on you or
Shame,
him or
but they
them
can't
and the
beat shame.
just shame on
Right.
you. Shame
But-
on you. How much do you hate yourself and us? But okay.
Right. And then and staying within this 2 weeks, everything's going to happen in 2 weeks thing. The MAGA cult, who are the remaining cultists who have finally found their red line, which is nuclear war. That's their red line. They're fine with everything
It's foreign
else.
war.
Okay.
I just have to split a little hairs with you here because it's not nuclear
Okay.
war. They're fine. I mean, yes, okay. I don't say they're fine with it. They are fine with war, but not foreign wars. This is what they're talking about. Nuclear, they don't care. Trump he's already said why can't he use a nuke? We'll see what happens, right? I guess we'll see in 2 weeks. But they.
Oh God, I hope that's something I hope we don't.
I know.
See
I
in
hope
2
we don't
weeks
see it.
or ever.
Exactly.
We'll never see it.
But they're
No,
fine
ignore
with
that man behind the curtain.
Exactly. But they're fine with war in the United States. They are waging war against the economic engine of this country, the states that are the places that make America great, that people want to go to, that people are dreaming. Oh, I want to see, the skyline of Manhattan. Even the Nazis, when they were in the U-boat, they apparently were came up to surface to see the skyline of Manhattan. Everybody wanted to see, because no one's dreaming, as I say, of seeing the moon over the meth lab in Mitch McConnell's district. They're not looking for the sewage in West Virginia or the whatever else. They're just not looking to go to these poorly run red states. They want to go to California. They want and the fact that they're waging war against the places that are keeping their poorly run districts and states afloat says it all that they hate this country. They're waging war against this country. They have destroyed our name around the world. They destroyed the economy. They fired people, veterans. They have sabotaged our science and medical research, and they're killing people. They want every time Republicans get power, I'll write an article about this too. The suicide rate goes up, and death by despair goes up. So they always kill more people. And last time it was 1 million when Traitor Trump left office. So I guess see if he can top that. And they're working on it. So
it's just a weird political strategy to kill off your own voting base, because it's not just Democrats that would die under these ridiculous practices that they're talking about. Like not letting people under 65 get a COVID booster. You're killing off your own voting base, you morons. And the question is and it's the great replacement theory, but if you replace your own people, it just nothing they do makes sense. And I don't get, and they continue to call themselves the pro-life party when they're advocating for people to go unvaccinated and not have health care.
Exactly.
So, and no food either.
Oh, they love death.
Death is
amazing to them. They love it. As long as it's not them. If you pop the bully in the nose, metaphorically.
But they're mad. MAGA is mad about this war between Iran and Israel. And it would be great if they would just wake up and realize that Donald Trump is a war criminal owned by Putin, just like Netanyahu.
Yep.
And I actually had a brief discussion about this with someone out in the world last night, only because they found out that I do political stuff. And most of the time, and I have been criticized for this because I'm an American Jew, that I don't talk about it enough, that I don't talk about the conflict, and I don't talk about Palestine. And it's for great reasons that I don't, because You and I know, and our audience knows, because we have smart people here with us in the chat. And thanks to every single one of you who are here, and thank you, Jim, for being our amazing moderator.
Thank you, Jim.
It's not an and or. It's not an either or. It's a multi-layered, difficult situation. And what I usually come back when someone criticizes me for not, I would say, well, what's your solution? What's your solution to end the crisis in the Middle East? Because Joe Biden, who is a foreign policy expert, couldn't solve it. His own Secretary of State couldn't solve it. No one seems to be able to solve it. And yet you're out here complaining. So, I mean, do I want a peaceful two-state solution? Absolutely. Do I think people need to leave each other the fuck alone and live in peace like everybody's religious texts say to do? Sure, that'd be awesome. But if you have a solution to end terrorism, because that is really, at the heart of this, I'd be delighted to hear it, and I'm sure all world leaders would too. Because that's at its core. You can say we're going to live peacefully with our neighbors. You can say that, and that doesn't stop Hamas from dropping bombs on you at a music festival when they decide to break a peace treaty. So, and it sounds naive, and it feels naive to even say it out loud. I just want everyone to be able to live their lives in peace regardless of where they live.
I get it.
I wish for world peace all the time. And when people talk about peace on earth and goodwill towards men, I would love to see it. It'd be great. I would love to see that. And my biggest issue is if you're going to go online and you're going to sit on your ass all day and complain, I expect you to also offer solutions along with the complaints. So go for it. Like, where are the solutions? And let's lean into those. I would embrace them and support them if they were feasible.
Right. Well, it's diplomacy.
Instead, you just have to point out the hypocrisy between Republicans and Democrats and how they would handle the situation.
Exactly.
And Kamala Harris would not want to plow Gaza to build hotels there.
No, it's just completely disrespectful to humanity in general to even say something like that. But this is what we're dealing with, and they, as far as Iran, they are, these maggots who are turning against the Republicans, which is good to see. But it's. They just don't want to be in a foreign war. But they're talking all over the place in general. That's why they don't want to fund Ukraine and, but I agree. Like this Iran is not Iraq in any sense of the word. I mean, it's much larger. It has more people. There's more, it is a lot more powerful, and they're not going to roll over even. And in fact, if, like any human nature, when you have a bloviating, draft-dodging piece of dirt screaming, we need your total surrender, who's going to surrender to that? They're just digging. Digging them in more. They're making them get a nuclear weapon faster. That's what they're doing. That's what he's doing.
He also told the people.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say we had.
Sorry. Who's going? You go. You go. You're
okay. Me one time.
First.
One time. Just sorry. I just
all the time.
That we had the the deal that he ripped up, which was working. Okay, go.
And you say you hate the word deal. We've gotten to the point where we hate the word deal anymore.
Right.
No, what I was going to say was he told the people of Tehran to evacuate, and there's 8 million people in Tehran. Where would you like them to go, fat boy? I mean, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say fat. I should not fat shame. I
hear you.
Sometimes,
but it's hard.
Sometimes I look at him and I think about Fat Bastard from the Austin Powers movies. Mm-hmm. And the guy was like, "Get in my belly." I can't help it sometimes because he's anyway. No, there are way worse things to say about him, and we should, and we do, and we will continue to do that. But it's just like the amount of irresponsibility. Going back to the Jeannie Most piece that you showed with the 2 weeks. He doesn't take responsibility for anything. Never has, never will. Never answers a question, just attacks the questioner when he doesn't like the questions he's being asked. And everything that he does is a showcase for Putin. He's like hey, look, it's Duke.
Oh, hello.
There's Duke.
I needed that.
By the way,
today,
today is Duke and Maxine's 5th birthday. They were born 5 years ago today on Juneteenth. I don't want to co-opt the holiday for any reason.
That's lovely.
Their full names are Maxine Rodham Pelosi Dublin and Duke.
I love that. Rodham.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Duke
Pelosi
Louis Obama Dublin, just to kind of like honor.
That's good.
Honor
Is that their official name on their birth certificate?
As far as I'm concerned, yes, they are. Those are their proper.
Because you should put that down, like at the vet, because you'll get mail in their name. You know, I get mail in my cat's name
right?
from the vet.
It's great. I mean, Maxine is like her name is for multiple reasons. Besides, like Maxine Waters, who I love, and then the first animal I ever loved in my whole life was a German Shepherd named Max. So I knew that when I was getting her, I knew I was going to name her Max. And then also one of my favorite shows ever is a show called Better Things that I told you about.
Yes.
That stars Pamela Adlon, and all the women on that show have male sounding names.
Oh, yes.
Like she plays, her character is Sam, and then she has 3 daughters, and their names are Max, Frankie, and Duke. And then when I decided to take the last kitten from the litter, because no one wanted the last kitten in their litter because there was an umbilical hernia. Yeah, boo-boo. I was told it was a female. I was like, I'm going to name her Duke because Duke is such a cutie pie on Better Things. And then when I went over to get Duke and her umbilical hernia, the woman brought her down the stairs under her arms, and she goes, Can you see the umbilical hernia? And I said, yes, and I can also see balls. What's the matter with you? Not to impart gender roles upon my animals, but there were balls.
Well,
and so all 3 got removed.
Hard to tell sometimes. Yes.
When we went to get them, when I went to get Maxine and Duke spayed and neutered, as everyone should do with their animals, I had them remove the umbilical hernia too. But to the point, today is their 5-year birthday. They are 5 years old. They came to live with me 2 months later. Quarantine kittens, born in the lockdowns, and I think that's why we're so like when MAGA calls me a crazy cat lady, I'm like, that's fair because I'm so obsessed with them. I don't ever want to leave them. They're like what I love, and this as a cat mom, it's why is it never a crazy dog mom? I don't know, but I have this thing on my desk. It says dogs have owners, cats have staff.
Yes.
But anyway,
it's true.
We're so bonded because we spent so much time together, just the 3 of us with no one else coming over. Mm-hmm. That's why they resent it if I let people come over now. They're like, what? Yeah. But anyway, happy birthday, Duke and Max.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to buy Max and Duke a birthday present, like cat treats or whatever, you can drop $5 into the super chat or into my Venmo, which is venmo.com/tired.
I have it somewhere. I'll put it up.
You have it somewhere.
Somewhere.
I'm just saying.
I gotta find it.
I'm just saying. It's the moment to support independent media and the cats who benefit from that.
Yes, that's true. Right? Don't forget, we got super chat. I mean, it's just, times are tough.
There are many ways to support us here, and that it's a harsh realm for the independent media, but it's also a really important time for truth in media. And we talk about this all the time, but that piece really showed us how he manipulated the media so well. Because he kept putting them off, and they kept accepting it, which frustrated me back then as much as it frustrates me now. And I remember tweeting at times, like, why aren't you asking him these questions? Why? Stop asking what he thinks about this, this, and this. Ask him questions that matter to the country. While he was campaigning, nobody asked him one single question about civics.
No.
Not one.
No. Oh,
nobody
no.
asked him what the 3 branches of our government are.
You're right.
Nobody... Right?
That has
Nobody
to happen.
said, hey, which amendment gave women the right to vote? Basic questions about how our government functions. He would not have known. But instead, it was like, what do you think about Rosie O'Donnell? And it's just like, that was the shit that he
pig. I mean, oh, God.
Right? But that's how we get here. It's when people don't ask the right questions or follow-up questions to hold him accountable and let him attack the questioner rather than making him answer the question. And I'm personally frustrated by it, because if I was someone who was on the press line yelling a question to him and he was like, who do you work for? I'd be like, why does that matter?
Don't get panicky.
You're this. Okay. Oh, look at that.
I'm trying to...
It's a beautiful thing when you support independent media and especially women in independent media, because we have, look at that. That's fancy business.
I'll just put
we have a hell of a time. No, I want to see my friend.
I got to cut these out or something. I saw that Hal puts his up there like all the time.
He does.
I know.
A very smart thing to do.
I
don't know if people know this, but it's a harsh realm for women online. I don't know if you've heard that. We are made especially when you're a major MAGA target, like we are, and we get harassed constantly, and people leave bad reviews under my book aren't real. That's helpful when I'm trying to get a proper book deal.
Right.
It's just like the second
they must know, that.
I mean, you would hope so, but like, I'm in the process of querying literary agents, and if they go to TaraDublinRocks.com, which just generates to Amazon at the moment, because that's where I self-publish this, they're going to see that the first review is great, but the second review is not, and it's
a maggot
stupid book. Yeah, and it's not a verified person.
Stupid book. I don't read no books, but I know this one's stupid.
There's no Donald Trump cult members fanning of worship.
No,
I don't even know what I'm saying. That's what happens when you're a maggot.
Somebody left a review saying,
no.
Yeah, somebody left a review saying the only reason I'm here is because I saw her on such and such podcast, and I came here to leave a bad review of her book because she's.
Well, at least
that one I got removed. I don't know. Sometimes Amazon will actually remove the bad.
But I mean, judge me by my enemies, as FDR said, but. That's this is what we're dealing with. They're horrible people.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Since no one's buying Jake Tapper's lying crap book, again, just, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story. Who doesn't love love? I'm just saying. Well, they don't. But they don't read, is the point. That's the point.
Unless,
but again, back to the other point, which is, Jeannie Moos and the 2 weeks and the manipulation of the media and why supporting independent media matters so much. And it's about creating credibility through visibility is what it is when it comes to the independent media. And it's very hard for us to get that visibility on social media platforms where the truth is so suppressed. Someday Elon is going to have to walk away from Twitter. Because I don't know if you saw, but another space rocket went explodey-fuckety-bye today.
That's only 10 million American dollars, right? That's only 10 million tax dollars. Boom, boom. Every time.
Too bad he wasn't on it. Whoops.
Not 10 million. What am I saying? 100 million. 100 million.
Yeah.
That everyone. He's such a. I mean, come on. I'm in a mood today. I just want to.
Yeah, you are. Well, we have every right to be salty because there's a lot of shit going on that is wrong, and you can't. It's frustrating. Like, I'm up at 12:30 in the morning going, can I solve this problem? No, I can't. Well, what should I do? You should go to sleep. Well, make my brain shut off. It's just like, there's so much you want to do all at the same time, which is I want him held accountable, I for this, that, and the other thing. But, like, I just want the MAGA cult to admit that his name is all over the Epstein files. Just admit it. Who do you think Pam Bondi is protecting? Enough already with this Michigas. Let's go. Admit that. You don't want to admit you were wrong? Fine. At least you could admit you were lied to. I was led astray. I was promised this and got that. I ordered this from Temu, but I got this. So, I ordered a real president, but instead I got Donnie 2 flagpoles. That's what I got.
Donnie, the divisive Nazi. It's been less than 5 months. You got to give him this.
150 days. And our friend Brian Karam has a new article out today where he says that Donald Trump has turned America into a failed nation state in just 150 days. And that is unfortunately accurate. And we have lost so much standing on the global stage in such a short amount of time. And it's literally the same situation as we were in 5 years ago when people are dying all the time from COVID and the administration is doing nothing about it whatsoever except prescribing ivermectin as a way. Why don't you put some bleach?
They still do it too.
There's some bleach and put some light bulbs up your arms, and
I couldn't believe
I don't take any responsibility. And
right, exactly. Well, I was watching some like maggot chant. What is that? Oh, not OAN, right wing something, or W wing, or RW, whatever the hell that is.
RBN, the one,
that's
the one
it.
Puffy
That's
Eyes
it.
is on.
RBN,
Marjorie's dog.
Yeah,
RBN.
And there were, and the baboon was speaking, blabbering, and lying, of
Right.
course. But underneath, they had an ad. I should have grabbed it, and it was, "Get your ivermectin pack here," blah blah. I'm like, this is still going on. They're still doing that. These fucking morons.
Unreal.
Yeah,
But
get
the
your
people,
horse
those
pills
people that drank
here.
the fish tank stuff and they died, and it's just like, just get the vaccine.
But,
it's safe.
yeah.
It's been tested.
incredible.
It's real. And I hate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. so much.
Me too.
I would love to get him on the hook. I would love to get him to agree to interview with us, or with just me.
Oh my.
Or in some way, because I would be like, why do you want me personally? You're sitting across from me, or you're talking to me, you're online with me. Why do you want me dead? And he'd be like, I don't want you dead, Tara. I'm just trying to protect you from.
Yeah.
I'm trying to protect you from the bacterial antibody. Blah, blah, blah.
Yep. That's what he would say. I don't want anybody. I want MAHA. Make America healthy. Everything's just a slogan.
This ain't the way.
Yeah.
How does it make us healthy if you're taking food away from children? How does that make anybody healthy?
Exactly.
You're going to cut SNAP benefits for children who are going hungry. You want to end school lunch programs, school breakfast programs. Who does that make healthy? Nobody.
It just kills
nobody.
people.
Correct. And so, unfortunately, Democrats in Congress are stepping up, and they're holding these hearings, and they are asking these questions.
Good.
They're just not getting the answers because they don't want to have to answer. And that, again, lying to Congress is a federal offense. Not that anyone has done anything to anybody about it except Michael Cohen.
That's right.
He seems to be the only person who got in trouble for lying to Congress.
Yep.
Which is weird.
Yep.
That's weird.
Well, it's a selective. This is what fascism is, for my friends, everything, my enemies, the law. That's fascism.
Right. Such a great quote. Such a great quote.
Yeah.
But again, we have to take all of the little victories that we can. Like the other day when we found out that Trump lost to E. Jean Carroll in court once again, and has to pay her $5 million, which brings the tab to right around $100 million. She can't wait, by the way. She cannot wait to get that money so she can turn around and donate it to causes that he hates. That's what she plans to do. I was hoping she might buy Trump Tower and turn it into a great big abortion clinic. Turn it into a giant Planned Parenthood.
That'd be great.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yes.
Wouldn't that
Saving
be great?
women's lives. And that's what she
could, and name it after Black women heroes. Great, and every floor, it's like, you can wait in the Sojourner Truth Lounge. You can go,
right? That'd be brilliant. Right?
Wouldn't it be amazing to do that? And by the way, and E. Jean Carroll has a new book out right now called "Not My Type," which is such a great title. Not my, because remember he said he didn't rape her because she's not his type.
Oh boy.
And see, that is a glorious way to hit back at MAGA, is using Trump's own words against him and therefore them. I love to do that when I'm beefing with MAGA and they tweet something really stupid. It's easy to rewrite it and hit them really, really hard. So I like to do that. And we don't have a date locked in just yet. But everybody in the chat, I'm happy to tell you, E. Jean Carroll will be joining the Tara Show sometime in early July. She's got a really packed schedule right now. She was on with Mary Trump earlier today on Substack. You should check that out. She's a busy lady, but she has generously said that she will be joining the Tara Show in July. We're also working on booking Rick Wilson. We're going to get John Fugelsang. Hal is going to come back. You're going to see a lot more guests joining us coming up. We're going to get some people from the government. I'm going to get some House Democrats hopefully to join us too.
Yes. So I can give them a lesson in communications and stop with this Democrat Party. Stop with the
Make
my
sure
wonderful
you're
friends
back in the right way.
Yes.
The gentle lady.
Yeah. Well, and
I hate when they call Marjorie Taylor Greene the gentle lady.
They almost do it with a sense of irony, though.
Yes.
And
yes, they
but
do.
I mean, I love Adam Schiff, but I guess that's just the way he is. He's very, even keel. I guess that's just him. But I don't know. Everybody has their way, I suppose.
Well, you have to be.
you got to be yourself.
one of the issues with that Democrats people criticize Democrats for is not pushing back hard enough. And I will tell you, Adam Schiff was at the Sexy Liberal show back in November, the Saturday night before the election, that I hosted the live pre-show for. And so I was there in the audience, and Adam Schiff said the F word live.
He did?
On TV.
Oh,
he said the F word, he said that he basically, because he said something like, he characterized MAGAs, as fucking lunatics or something like that. It was about
did everybody applaud, like,
finally?
There
was a rousing ovation for the now senator. And I made everybody Sexy Liberal bracelets, friendship bracelets, like the one I made for Mark Hamill said Sexy Liberal
amazing.
Jedi.
That's cool.
for Adam Schiff, his said Sexy Liberal Senator, because I knew he was going to win. I wonder if he ever wears it. I don't know. I would love to find that out.
He must have it somewhere in his mementos.
He does. Yes, because Stephanie was asking him about being targeted by Trump specifically and all of the nicknames he's had and Shifty Schiff and all of that. And he's like, yeah, all of that. All is such bullying and all of that stupidity. And yes, Democrats have been conditioned to be bipartisan and play nice and stroke egos and all of that instead of fighting back, a little more hard. But we are still also seeing support, for pushing back against Republicans from some Republicans. And this story that about Senator Alex Padilla is what I want to talk about, because Jamie Raskin, who we love, and I would love to have him on the show, is opening up an investigation into his that moment that we all were all horrified. It doesn't matter how many times I see that clip, by the way. Senator Alex Padilla identifies himself in Kristi Noem's press conference as Senator Alex Padilla. And she knew who he was. She claimed that she didn't.
Of course.
Well,
she workshopped the lies.
She sat, right, and he was at her confirmation hearing. He's like, she knows who he is.
Of course.
And the way she had her brown shirts wrestle him to the ground and handcuff him. So God. Jamie Raskin is investigating that. She should lose her job. I don't know what she went to the hospital for. Some sort of allergic reaction.
She did? When? Today?
The day before yesterday, she was hospitalized for an allergic
reaction.
I wonder,
fillers in her lips or something.
I said her body was rejecting her new Alina Habba Ivanka face.
Well, she hates her face. That's not a dispute.
Sometimes when you use other people's organs and skin in surgery, your body just naturally rejects them.
Yeah,
she's cuckoo bananas.
You look at her from a profile; it looks like Donald Duck or something. Her lips.
The best is when Karen Bass says, "I've known you. I worked with you. I don't recognize you anymore." And it's like,
literally,
she didn't mean this way, but also she
everybody
did.
Was like,
she didn't say that, but she didn't have to say that because it's not just their behavior. It's this too, but
her mother wouldn't
behavior.
recognize her. Her mother would be like, "If her, what are you? What is
you
this?
do that?" People circulated the side by side of what Kristi Noem used to look like,
and
now what she looks like now. Even when she became governor, she didn't look like that. She changed her face. I think she changed her face originally because she thought she could be Trump's VP pick.
Yeah, she was trying to.
Right.
They all have to do that,
and so she was really gunning. And she wasn't cute enough, and so
that's how much they hate themselves,
right? And so it's why Carrie Lake always uses the super Vaseline filter when she goes online because she wants to look like that. That's why Alina Habba bought herself Ivanka's face, as did Kristi Noem, and that's why Donald Trump cares very much about the optics of who is standing next to him at his photo ops.
Yeah.
Right? So dumpy Elise Stefanik was never going to be his VP pick.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
As much as
Doesn't matter. She could she could try, but I vividly remember a photo op where he was somewhere with a bunch of Republicans and she was all the way as far away from him in the photo as possible because she was wearing like this really dumpy looking brown suit and like almost orthopedic looking shoes. And now she's kind of like updated her look, as I think someone said to her,
well,
you're not going to get
right.
anywhere looking like a sack of potatoes. And my nickname for her is Trashy Stefanik. And I have tweeted her, not recently, but back in the day, I would tweet her, Trump would maybe rate you a 1 on your best day.
But I wonder when she will get her puffy lips herself.
Right?
When
Look
will,
at that. Now,
yeah. That's
Kristi Noem was not a bad-looking woman to begin with, and I mean, she managed to have an affair with Corey Lewandowski looking like that back in the day. So she's cooking her.
What do you mean back in the day? She's still.
No, I think they broke up, and now they're back together again. And I hear her husband has a side piece now too. They're so disgusting. The party of family values.
Yeah, they're all so full of shit.
Yeah, she's back with Corey the Wonder Schlong, who blocked me on Twitter forever ago. But again, there's something wrong. The body dysmorphia that exists within the MAGA cult is really evident when you look at like photos from the women who go to Mar-a-Lago, go to the Mar-a-Lago parties. They do not have on their bodies anything that they were born with.
No.
Like their breasts are fake, their faces are fake, their lips are fake. They've gotten liposuction.
They're gross.
They have all of this fake tan, fake
they look
hair,
like
fake
fembots.
nails.
Yeah, they just look like gaudy imitations of what a woman is in some
cheap,
sick, weird, somebody who doesn't understand women made those women, from outer space or something,
Right, like Dolly Parton, they spend a lot of money to look that cheap, but the way she does it is Dolly Parton, and when they do it, they just look cheap. They look like cheap, used up, rode hard and put up wet, sun-damaged Florida women. With, and the implants and the stretch marks on the implants and the tanned stretch marks on the implants. It's just very unattractive.
Right.
And what happened to all of these women that they hate themselves so much that they're changing their whole face? Say what you will, but, and I've been criticized because I'm a Jewish woman. Guess how MAGA makes fun of me. So I would never change my face like that. I don't want anyone cutting into my face. Like, I'm not above a little filler or a little smoothing. Like, I'm okay with that. I would never let anybody cut into my face and it change.
Well, there comes a point. Face. It's like Michael Jackson. He became
and they have
grotesque.
It's body dysmorphia, and then they have imposter syndrome because they don't recognize themselves anymore. I mean, look at that.
Like, she doesn't
look
look
real. How do you even know that that's the same person?
Look at her lips.
It's sad.
You
could almost feel badly for them if they weren't. And I think she had to go back to the hospital. She went to the hospital because maybe some of that Botox in her face went bad. She's having an allergic reaction to that. She could be having an allergic reaction to her implants. It's very unhealthy what they do to themselves.
A lot going on there. They're very unhealthy people. Yes. Exactly.
Yes, they are.
And they need help.
They're taking out their hate on us. And that's Donald Trump. Everything that we're dealing with is because Donald Trump is unloved. And everything that he does is a hate fuck against the United States because he's mad that nobody loved him.
It's like a hate crime. That's what we're witnessing against the United States.
Right. And if you're someone with daddy issues, like, you have a lot of different ways to process those daddy issues and work through them. You can get you can get counseling. You can or you can do the extreme, what they do, like, I don't know, a Caroline Levitt who ends up marrying someone who's old enough to be her grandfather. That's something worth exploring and asking questions about. She's obsessed with Trump, who is literally the oldest sitting president in history. And there's that video of her. I don't know if you saw that. Like, she's on the press line or something. She's somewhere where he is.
Okay.
Maybe it was at the picnic, and she's leaning over and she's like, "Look at my cleavage, Trump daddy."
Really? Oh.
She did one of those. Yeah, she totally did one of those. But then also her husband she's 27 and her husband is 60.
Yep.
I'm going to ask questions about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to ask questions of why he's doing it because of what she looks like.
She's such a stimulating conversationalist.
She's a radiant milkmaid. So, she just looks like the Nazi wet dream of what the ultimate woman should look like, right? Because she's blonde, she's rosy cheeked, she dresses conservatively,
and she hates women. That's the other thing. In
Oh,
order to be a
man,
maggot
hate
woman,
women.
you have to be a bigger misogynist than the maggot male. It is true. It goes back to like Sarah Palin. It goes back in history. That's why they always disparage whatever the traditionally feminine qualities are. Nanny state, or just compassion, having compassion, empathy.
Right.
All of that is supposed to be weak.
Them.
It's weak. Even the maggot churches now, I don't know if you know this, but the maggot churches are now preaching that empathy is a sin. Okay, this is the world we're living in. I will look it up right now. Yep.
Where
it's
in
disgusting.
the Jesus book does it say that?
Doesn't at all.
Where
but
in Jesus's memoir? Sometimes I refer to the Bible as Jesus's memoir, and people get mad. So,
it's not even.
Is it a work of fiction?
It's an ancient book of fables with written over years and years, and it's bullshit. Okay, I mean, and I told you the stories about taking a class in myth and how all the Christians walked out because they couldn't handle when we got to comparing all of the myths that were in the Bible that happened to have a very strong relation to every other myth in every other culture, all through, that preceded and didn't even, it's very interesting how even cultures that don't have contact with each other will have the same myths, the same virgin birth. Yeah, it is. Because we all have that, I believe, as a human, I don't know, you don't know what's really going on there. I think there's many levels to life, but there's more than meets the eye, but we have that spiritual, something, drive in us. Right. And that these maggots, the people like them, exploit, really. It's supposed to make us, Mother Nature, this is why I always say, we are interdependent. Mother Nature made us that way. That's why when you give something to somebody, you get the same oxytocin chemicals that as you get when you receive something. Because we're supposed to help each other, right?
And we're supposed to live in gratitude.
That's right. And they've turned it all on their head. So on its head. So
And when you're someone who is basically an optimist at heart, but the world keeps pushing back and giving you reasons to not be optimistic, it can get frustrating. Like, I know for me personally, and what my mother always tells people about me, it's like, I don't have a mean bone in my body. I don't wake up every day going, whose day can I ruin today? That's, I come from a place of reaction. Like, I see something that upsets me, I want to right the wrong that I see. That's how I do my activism. It's a responsive rather than a causing shit to happen and creating ripples. It's not about that for me. And I don't believe in organized religion, but the closest I get to is Buddhism, because it's not really a religion more than just like a state of mind, a way to treat other humans, a way to be a better human and evolve as a human. Much more interested in that. And if we could spread that kind of kindness, that'd be amazing. Short of that, I wish I could strap every MAGA person to a chair and make them watch Schoolhouse Rock, like Clockwork Orange style.
It would sink in, though.
And give them the medicine that would make them appreciate democracy when they saw it, rather than make them sick. That would just be the way I would change it. Because our democracy is really sick right now. And it needs to be healed. And the only way that we can do that is if we all come together and try to heal it with truth and facts, and the idea that our democracy is worth saving. Because if you don't believe our democracy is worth saving, then I don't know what to say to you. But I firmly believe that it is, and that we can save it and we can yank it back from what they're doing, and we can reclaim our good name on the world stage, as Joe Biden did with his administration. Because Joe Biden went out there when Joe Biden was vice president, he lifted our profile on the global stage because he's so good at foreign policy, and he strengthened our relationships with all of our global allies. And then he re-strengthened them when he became president, because they already knew him and they already trusted him, and they were like, I already know you're not as bad as that guy. I already know you're not as bad as Trump. I already knew that about you because you showed me who you were for your entire career. And so when people are like, oh, they're the same, no, they're not. And so, oh my God, it's the closing music. And so the message we take forward is continuing to hold media accountable when we see them letting Trump get away with this 2 weeks shit, or Pete Hegseth saying this shit, or whatever we see, all of this shit. It's our responsibility to push back. And that's why we're here. So please make sure you are signed up for the Political Voices Network Substack. Sign up for Devlin's Substack and mine. Buy The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story at TowerDublinRocks.com. Share the Political Voices Network with your friends as well, because they are craving the truth. They want to know where to go to get the facts. Tell them it's here. If they've walked away from MSNBC or CNN and they have lost faith in the media, tell them it's here.
Yes.
It's here on the Political Voices Network. We will not lead you astray, and we'll also maybe make you laugh while we're making you think about how we're moving this country forward.
Yes, and we will win, because we're on the right side of history.
We'll see you Tuesday.
Decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. We stick together,
Dignity,
we win.
decency, democracy, yeah. Devlin and Dublin delivering the dynamite. It's the Tara Show, oh yeah. And we will be back on Tuesday at 2. That's 11 if you're on the West Coast. But we'll see you, and we thank you for being here.
All right,
thank
guys.
you, Jim, for moderating. We're rocking and rolling. Have a good weekend.